channel topic on general is the don't get the Discord subpoenaed zone.
So far, we've successfully not got the Discord subpoenaed. Hello, welcome to So We're Watching That Right, a podcast where two lesbians bully each other for having the same taste in anime. I'm Becky, scientifically certified best girl.
And I'm Val, everyone's favorite harem protagonist.
We are starting with this week's absolute avalanche of confession scenes. So, here goes. I did it again.
You did it again.
It's not my little sister who has it in for me. My little sister is very supportive. My friend's little sister has it in for me. So, last episode, Aki and Iroha had this kind of heart-to-heart where they were talking about how good a friend Aki's been to Iroha, and would he please stop calling her his friend's little sister and just call her her friend. He promptly invited her out shopping, and she is desperately turning this into a date, trying to turn this into a date. And she knows that the teacher and her brother will beg off to give them some time, but she also knows that Mashiro won't. And so it turns into a double date, a 1.5 date.
A throuple date.
Yeah, a throuple date. And, like, a big chunk of the start of this episode is just Iroha and Mashiro feuding over Aki by various proxies. Mm-hmm. Iroha does call Aki a harem protagonist, and, like, she laughs really hard and really long about it in a slightly uncomfortable way, which, I don't know, I came away with the distinct feeling that she was, like, deliberately trying to plant that suggestion.
I think that's projection.
I have a suggestion, okay?
I know.
I have one suggestion. It's basically the only bit I do.
Yeah, I have a citation, though. You had the same reaction when calling me a harem protagonist started.
True, yes. You are a harem protagonist.
Shut the fuck up. No, I'm not.
I'm sorry, what's the title of the main chat in our Polycool Discord server?
It's General Chat.
Did you just change it?
No, it's been...
Oh no, the server is called So It's a Harem, So What?
Yes.
That's right. Anyway, they go and see a movie, and they have a big argument about which movie to see, and Iroha and Mashiro definitely are, like, expressing their love rivalry through, like, film buff competitiveness. And, like, Mashiro is, like, a vulgaro-tourism girly who really wants to go and see, like, the Shark B movie. Mm-hmm. And Iroha is the Japanese equivalent of a Marvel dork and wants to just go see the latest Demon Slayer movie or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So neither of them is really going to see an art film. But the actual point of this episode is to examine why Mashiro was being bullied, what she was being bullied about, what her relationship was like with the girls who were bullying her, and to have both Aki and Iroha defend her against the bullies. They're at the cinema, and is she...
Iroha goes to the bathroom, and Aki and Mashiro are hanging out.
Right, and then these two Gyaru's come up to them and recognize Mashiro and start bullying her about a book that she was writing in middle school in their class. They found her writing this book, and they, like, stole it and showed it to everyone. Classic bully move. And then teased her about it. And, you know, Aki stands up for her, and they kind of lose interest. And then Aki asks Mashiro about the book, and she runs off. Mm-hmm. And he finds her in the cinema showing the Shark movie, which is empty apart from her.
Yep.
And they have a chat there. And they come back to find Iroha using her powers of voice acting for good, for evil, for good, where she's just, like, scaring the shit out of these bullies and destroying them emotionally. Mm-hmm. And all of this is relevant because we know, but Aki and Iroha don't, that Mashiro is the celebrated upcoming young author who has secretly been writing the script for Fifth Floor's game. Mm-hmm. And what this makes clear is that Mashiro, for all her tsundereness, has been attached to Aki for a long time. And at the end of the episode, Mashiro texts Aki while he is hanging out with Iroha, and he gets the text and looks at it, and Iroha's like, "Oh, what is it? Show me, show me." And so she also sees that Mashiro has texted Aki a confession.
Yep. unequivocal, extremely straightforward. I haven't loved anyone except you.
Yep. Which Mashiro's dad is going to kill Aki over if he finds out.
Yeah, I think he kind of knows, though, is the thing.
It's true. It's true.
Also, a thing that is worth noting, adaptational differences. In the light novel, between each chapter, they have little snippets of text conversations from their group chats.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the early conversations is Oz and their teacher, like, going, yeah, we're not going to go to this fucking shopping thing, but Mashiro is probably going to go.
Good.
And the decision to have Iroha kind of suss that out on her own adds to the, like, vibe that they're trying to give Iroha of being really able to see through people's intents.
Yeah.
Which is a really good way to adapt. Text conversations are weird to adapt to an anime.
Yes.
Unless they're making a whole scene out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, we're going to get to that show that did that later.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really clever thing to just, like, okay, this girl, apart from Aki, who she has trouble dealing with her ability to look through people's facades around because she's attached to him.
Yeah.
She can see the sort of things that her friends would do and go, yeah, they're probably not going to show up, but Mashiro probably is.
Yeah.
It's a good adaptational change.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, second confession show of the week is technically one in which there's already been a confession, which is Inexpressive Kashiwada and Expressive Oota, episode 6. But this episode does end with like a flashback of how Kashiwada first got attached to Oota when they were in preschool, and she was always playing by herself because the other kids thought it was weird how inexpressive she was, and Oota was the one who like reached out to her and kind of included her in the group, initially by throwing a frog at her.
Yeah, he does throw a frog at her face, and she throws it immediately right back at his.
Yes.
Because the dynamic has been this strong from the get-go.
Yes.
But he's also the one that told her, like, if people can't easily tell what you're feeling, you need to tell them.
Mm-hmm. Which is why she keeps telling him how much she likes him.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't get it.
He really doesn't. Other good bits in this episode, the seating in the class gets rearranged, and that puts Tadokoro, Ota's friend, in between Oota and Kashiwada, and with Tabichi, the class president, next to him, so he's like caught in the middle between these three like incredibly adversarial forces, and there's massive tension around it.
Mm-hmm.
And Oota challenges Kashiwada to a competition of drawing funny pictures and passing them back and forth via Tadokoro to see who can make the other one laugh. And even more than has been shown previously, this sequence shows that it's not that Kashiwada is in any way submissive or passive. She is inexpressive, but she is actually a little tyke.
Yeah.
She's just as much of a brat as Oota is.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like, she fully is on board for this competition. She hard counters him when Tadokoro almost gets caught passing one of Ota's pictures to Kashiwada, therefore intercepting it. Kashiwada draws her own and passes it back, and then they're out in the snow, and Oota, like, grabs an icicle and is like, I'm going to sneak up on Kashiwada and put this down the back of her coat. And he's ranting about how he's going to pull this off and how clever and smart he is. And she snowballs him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns into a snowball fight, and she just keeps getting one up on him every time. And just like in the first episode with the swimming pool, his friends take her side and join in, which, like, this is exactly what this boy deserves, but also it's so harsh.
Harsh but fair, that's what we do here.
And the thing is, he's definitely having fun. He would never admit it, but he's definitely having fun. None of that, though, is a patch on the events of this week's Yano-kun's Ordinary Days, episode 6, which starts out with the girls having like a troubleshooting session to try to help Kyoko confess to Yano or make advances to Yano, and Kyoko is having this thing where she is thinking about how Yano is acting like her younger brother, and one of her friends is there and is playing with her younger brother, like being effective at engaging her bratty younger brother in play by being sort of super over-the-top femme, and so they persuade Kyoko to try doing that with Yano, and it is uncanny when it happens. It's disquieting.
Everyone disliked this.
Yeah.
Pops up every time she talks.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hashiba is at the like bookstore or whatever, and Yano and the other boy, whose name I always forget to put in the notes, are there. And Hashiba is buying...
I think they're at the convenience store, and he's buying...
He's buying various things.
Shoujo manga.
Yes, he's buying this shoujo manga compilation volume or whatever that his sister is desperate for. And he's desperate to prevent Yano and the other boy seeing that he's buying shoujo manga. And it eventually becomes clear that, okay, he's buying it for his sister at her insistence and reluctantly, but also he absolutely wants his sister to have it so that he can read it, because he clearly reads it all. But Yano asks Hashiba about love, and Hashiba goes, look, here's a shoujo manga about love, read this. Which, there are worse ways to do the beginnings of romance education than shoujo manga, but maybe not that many. These two continue to have such a vibe to them, like, they would make a really sweet couple if I thought the show had the courage to go there. But the lesson that Yano takes from shoujo manga is that a boy should be very forward and clear and communicate clearly about how much he likes the girl. And so the next day, when he gets a paper cut and Kyoko puts a plaster on his finger, he just tells her out of the blue that he likes her.
Yep, he just kind of blurts it out in the middle of class.
And the show hard cuts to Kyoko that evening just voiding out at home.
Yeah, like, straight up, it cuts from her making an insane face in class to her making the same face but at home.
Yep.
Just like,
But she, of course, convinces herself that he didn't mean it like that. You know, he couldn't possibly mean it like that. He was just saying he liked me because I was patching him up again. And then the next day at school, Hashiba and one of the other lads are talking about their types. And the other lad goes, hey, Yano, what's your type? And Yano comes over to join them and says very mildly and not particularly loudly that his type is Kyoko. Like, literally, he says, well, if you're asking me what my type is, then I'd have to say it's Kyoko. And everyone in the class, including Kyoko, hears.
Mm-hmm.
And she's frazzled about it. And she's like, well, let's have lunch together like we always do. And so they're having love together. I mean, they are having love together. I'm so good at English. I'm so good at English.
You really are.
I talk publicly, professionally for a living. I'm so good at English.
Yeah, I yap unprofessionally. It's fine.
And yet somehow more effectively. Anyway, they're eating lunch. He offers her the hash brown from his lunch, which is his favourite part, but he says he wants her to have it. And then he's staring at her face. He tells her how lovely her face is to look at. And she gets so flustered that he asks her if she needs to go to the infirmary, which at least gets them out of the classroom. Because even though this doesn't seem like a loud conversation and it's the classroom at lunch, everyone hears all of this. Nobody else is getting rowdy about anything else. And so everybody knows that this is happening. And Kyoko and Yano set off to the infirmary, but Kyoko grabs Yano's hand and just drags him halfway across the school to an out-of-the-way stairwell, the place where it used to be Yano's lunch hideout, and basically asks him to confirm that, yes, he really meant his confession, and then she confesses too, and it ends on a handshake. Like,
not even holding hands. It's
literally like a business handshake. God help these children. And speaking of God help these children...
Oh,
it's A Star Brighter Than the Sun, episode 5, for which my notes just start. Ah!
Yep.
This show is doing the exact thing that Yano-kun isn't, or not doing the exact thing that Yano-kun is. It's really leaning into the comedy of miscommunication aspect. It opens with the girls at the ramen joint that Koki had recommended to them. And they're trying to do girl talk, but it's too public a place, so they're in the group chat. They're sat eating their ramen next to each other, messaging in the group chat. Then Koki and the sports team that he's on, football?
Soccer, yeah.
Sorry, I'm British, it's football.
I know. I'm American. Anyway.
He and his team come in, and so he starts messaging back and forth with Sae as well. And the messages start piling up. And eventually, Sae sends a message that she meant to send to the group chat about trying to move on from someone to Koki instead.
The best part is, I called this was going to happen.
You did.
It doesn't address this for like a scene and a half.
Yes, a whole bunch of other shit happens, and then it returns to this point. Because Sae gets ill, And Koki brings a notepad of notes from the day of school she's missed round to lend to her. And in the notebook, he's left a note of his own saying, "Hey, I think you meant to send this message to someone else, but are you struggling to get over someone?" So she very sensibly writes a response explaining a little bit about it, basically saying, "Don't worry about it, I'm fine," I think, in the notebook when she passes it back to him, because the next day he's twisted his ankle, so he's off school. So she goes round to his, and she hands him the notebook, and he immediately opens it up in front of her and turns to that page to check. And Sae has resolved that she is going to ask Koki out because she can't stand to not do so. But for some godforsaken reason, this idiot girl has decided that she needs to do something to impress Koki before asking him out. Which, I get it, but also, what the fuck? You already have, excellent grades, and you're a competitive level school athlete, and you're a wonderful person, and he's known you all his life, and you've looked after him for a very long... Why do you still need to impress him at all?
Yeah, but she could be doing more. No, she couldn't.
Anyway, the second half of the episode is that the school... I think it's for a literature festival?
Yeah.
It's not like the school festival. It's specifically every class has to do a literature thing. They're putting on a play. They're doing The Wizard of Oz. Sui gets cast as Dorothy, which is perfect. She is a Dorothy, absolutely. Koki gets cast as the Lion, which is also perfect casting. Bless his soul. For some reason, they let Yushin direct, which is just begging for a dragon punch. But there's this other boy, Ayukawa, who is, he's a handsome, popular class president type in his own right. And it's not clear whether he's actually, taking a romantic interest in Sae, but he's definitely kind of hinting in that direction. He wrote the script, and he took the opportunity of doing that to make himself and Sae the prompters. So they are going to be working together very closely through the whole play arc. Mm-hmm. But Sae is still mostly fixated on Koki, and Koki is not good at public speaking, which makes him great as the Lion, but also makes it really difficult for him. So Sae offers to meet up with him at the weekend to practice their lines. They have a bit of a heart-to-heart about Koki not wanting to depend on her because he feels like he's been dependent on her all his life, which is more understandable as a hang-up, I think. But also, she does a very good job, I think, of making clear that that's not how she sees him, of setting that one to rest. And then they go to meet up at the weekend, and Sae is very excited to be meeting Koki at the weekend outside of school. She goes to wait for him to finish his soccer club practice, which runs late, and it starts to rain, and Sae just sits there in the rain. She covers her head with the laminated script for the play, but she's just sitting there in the rain. She doesn't look for shelter at all. This girl, for all she's very class smart and gets very good grades, this girl is dumb as rocks.
Yup.
Continuing the chain of confessions, bizarrely, worryingly, in Alma-chan Wants to Be a Family, episode 6, a new character is introduced.
Yup.
Her name is Neon Wozniak.
Yup.
Which I assume is a reference to Steve Wozniak, the Apple guy.
Probably Neon, though.
Well, that's a Gundam reference. It's not a Gundam reference, but it feels very much like it's trying to be in that kind of namespace.
It might be a specific reference.
Yeah. Neon Wozniak is a Gundam-ass name. And she is an interplanetary arms manufacturer princess who lives on a space station. She's Gundam as fuck. And she takes an interest in Alma and comes down to see her and tries to recruit her or possibly buy her. Then Enji and Suzume turn up, and when Alma calls them mother and father, Neon has this moment of fairly intense jealousy because she lives on a satellite and there's no evidence that her family is still alive. Mm-hmm. And in addition to offering the whole family any quantity of money they can name to come and work for her arms corporation, she also proposes marriage on the spot to Alma.
Yup.
Which, I love this shit. It's...
I know you do.
Oh, it's so silly.
It's real good.
Yeah. We get a segment about how Suzume has a secret underground lab that you access through an elevator hidden in the toilet in their flat. And in the secret lab, she has a bunch of, like, spare bodies for Alma that were made as, like, test models during production. There's, like, a toddler body, and there's a schoolgirl, JK kind of body. And for some reason, this ends up with Suzume and Toko. So Makina and Alma fight over who gets to use the schoolgirl body and end up sharing it. And Suzume and Koto put on school uniforms, and Enji comes home from a long day at the office and is confronted by all of this.
Yep.
And then Suzume gets ill, which I'm choosing to regard as, like, karma for dressing as a schoolgirl, as a 30-year-old woman or whatever she is.
I think they're still mid-20s.
Yeah, whatever. Disaster, anyway. She gets really ill, and Alma turns into her nurse form, who is a can-call, let's be real.
Yeah, a little bit.
Alma turns into her nurse form to look after Suzume, and gets very mad when Suzume isn't immediately fixed when she does everything that the healthcare stuff says. But the upshot of that is that eventually Alma gets Enji to admit that he does care about Suzume's well-being and Suzume being ill, which is very sweet. So there is kind of a real confession in there as well as a goofy marriage proposal. These are getting more and more tenuous, I realise.
Yeah.
But I'm not done yet!
We really aren't.
In A Mangaka's Weirdly Wonderful Workplace, episode 6, Futami has been invited by the editor of another magazine at the same publishing company to start a second manga series. And she feels like she's cheating on Sato by even going to meet with this editor. And it turns out that this editor is a longtime rival of Sato's, or somebody that Sato thinks of as a longtime rival. You know, it's kind of the inverse of the Nashida-Futami relationship, right? Where Nashida thought Futami was her rival the whole time. Sato thinks that the other editor is her rival, but the other editor is kind of oblivious. Either that or is extra malignant and just being Machiavellian about it, whichever way around.
Yeah.
But Sato feels cheated on, and eventually this all gets stressy enough that Sato goes round to Futami's house late one night to speak to her and to say, hey, I would like you to only work with me. And Futami happily says, yeah, I'm not going to start a second manga, I can barely keep up with my first one. And they are so blushy and happy about confirming this. And like,
blushy, yes. Happy, no. Sato storms off after she's just like, I wouldn't, like, I'm glad you feel that way about me, but I wasn't going to run off on you. She just, like, she gets really mad and leaves.
I don't think she's mad.
I think she's mad.
No, she's like overwhelmed and embarrassed by the affection.
She's a little mad.
I didn't pass it as mad at all. Anyway, it feels like a confession scene. It feels very like a confession scene. That's not just me projecting because you said it too.
I mean, the show was not exactly subtle about the metaphors of creating things together.
Yes, like it definitely frames specifically the editor-artist relationship as this kind of surrogate for situationships. And the moment where Sato says to Futami, I would like you to only work with me, is definitely asking for exclusivity in a romantic sexual sort of way. And it's great. But this episode would not be half as fun if it wasn't for the fact that Nashida is still spending all her time at Futami's apartment slobbing around like a drunken, jilted ex-wife and ranting about editors the way drunken, jilted ex-wives rant about ex-husbands.
And making comments like, oh, time to go meet the legal wife when Sato shows up and Hasan has to fucking do a super move to get her out of there. Like, she straight up warps behind her and just like, nope, we're leaving. We're going into the other room.
It's so good. It adds so much to the vibe. She's also still
the gayest vibe.
She's also still insisting that she's going to marry Futami, which is not going to go well, but very funny nevertheless.
She's saying that and still going, let me go see your legal wife, the real wife.
In May I Please Ask for One Final Thing, there is no confession, sadly. That's kind of not true, actually. Scarlet doesn't confess to anyone. She does knock down an entire temple with a spear throw, and then she walks into the ruins of the temple carrying the head of the statue she destroyed, where she's confronted by a bunch of priests. the leader of whom looks like that one horrible lawyer guy out of Ace Attorney.
Specifically, Winston Payne, the tutorial guy.
It's been a...
No, I'm not complaining about your lack of specificity. I am providing it for people who want the visual gag to land.
Thank you for having my back on that one. It's been a long time since I played that game. I only remember what he looks like because he's in the Phoenix Wright version of the boot to the head skit.
That also trash. I love you.
I've at least played the game and watched the original version of the skit.
I know.
But he looks like that guy out of Ace Attorney, and he's like ranting about how he's going to stop her and summoning a bunch of evil purple swords, and she just cobs the head at him and knocks him out.
Yep.
Then, like, they're cleaning up the mess afterwards, and Diana is still on the, like, parade float that she was on when it starts to collapse under her. And it's high enough that if she falls, it's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And Leo, Scarlett's brother, swoops in and saves her.
Literally, her hero on a white horse.
Yeah. And this dippy little girl gets so love-struck that everyone thinks she's ill.
It's so fucking funny.
Anyway, Scarlett figures this out and goes, right, I'm going to set you up on a date with my brother because I can do that. And she does, because they're going to this town that is like a hot springs resort kind of town. And she's like, I'm going to set you up on a date with my brother at this town, and we're going to dress you in the traditional dress of this town, which is yukata. And the town is called Memphis. Now, it's worth noting that Memphis, Tennessee is named after Memphis, Egypt, the site of most of the Great Pyramids. So that might be the connection here rather than Memphis, Tennessee, but also it might not.
Either way, what the fuck?
And it's basically a way of engineering an excuse for a festival episode, because all that happens is they go to a bunch of festival stalls.
Yep.
And Diana has a great time and makes Leo wear cat ear headbands with her. Meanwhile, Julius and Scarlett are at the festival as well, and they come across a pottery shop selling like large ceramic jars. And some like mercenary soldiers are blowing off steam by just smashing up the shop.
Mm-hmm. I think they're adventurers.
Sorry, yes, they're adventurers is how they're framed.
Yeah.
Because Scarlett's like, I've heard about these adventure guys, I want to know what they're like. And what they're like is, they're doing a link on the collection, basically.
Yeah.
And this is a problem, and Scarlett and Julius come upon them doing this, and Scarlett's like, well, I'm going to kick the shit out of these guys. And Julius buys the entire shop so that Scarlett can do so without fear for damaging the wares, which is the sweetest gift he's bought her yet.
A twoo of.
Twoo toy.
Choice words, my love.
What are you going to do? That's how he refers to her repeatedly, the bastard. Anyway.
Remember how you assigned me him? Like, how? I'm being assigned this guy.
Yeah.
Shit sucks out here.
Yeah. We will all suffer for my nonsense. Tell me about Chitose's in the Ramune bottle, episode 5.
Alrighty, let me crack assorted joints in my hands. So, last episode ended with Yuzuki, one of the girls, asking Chitose to be her boyfriend. It picks up on that immediately, and the way she phrased it, he goes, okay, so why do you need a fake boyfriend? And they banter for a bit, and it basically rounds out to, I have some stuff going on. I need someone who understands that I have been dealing with the particular, sorts of problems that being popular has and won't fall for me in the process. And I trust you to not actually fall for me while you're fake dating me.
Oh, hell yes. That's great. That's the worst possible decision you can make while being a character in a rom-com anime.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just to himself, we're really similar, so I get why she's asking me, because I feel like I could do the same for her. Again, you're in a rom-com, my guy. Anyway, she's worried about something and doesn't go into it until he basically agrees. At one point, she gets going on a bit, and he goes to do a Tsukomi chop, and she kind of flinches, which is, out of the norm for banter like that in this and other shows.
Yeah.
So essentially what it boils down to is she believes she has a stalker because she's felt like she'd seen dudes from another school around recently and wants him to be her boyfriend to like deter any potential stalking and like deal with them if they have a nasty streak.
Yeah.
And in return offers, quote, anything you want, as much as you want, as many times as you want, as recompense.
Yeah, sure. You definitely don't want him to fall for you, girl.
So anyway, he forces her to play basketball with him. Because she's on the basketball team.
Get wrecked.
And then while they're like cooling off from playing basketball.
How to beat the allegations, basketball.
But yeah, it's just like, we're not the sort of people who like it when people say, you can tell me if there's something going on, because we don't like that vulnerability. Instead, just trust me and use me if something comes up. And she goes, well, what if you're not around? And he goes, everyone knows you can summon a hero by shouting his name out loud.
Oh my god, I hate this guy so much.
It's really fucking funny. Oh god. So, like, the next day, they walk into class together, and Yuko, the girl from Kenta's stuff, immediately clocks that it's fake and goes, hey, what the fuck? Did you, like, meet up at the school gates or something? Why are you walking together? And she's just like, you don't have a chance with him right now. What the fuck do you think you're doing? And his fake girlfriend goes, actually, you're the one who doesn't have a chance right now because I'm dating him, obviously. And it is, the entire friend group is clearly aware that like something is going on. So at lunch, they explain everything. And the other basketball girl, Haru, because there's two basketball girls in this friend group, apparently, whatever. He asked her for a bit of her time after a practice game they have that weekend. And she's just like, cheating already, boss man. Are you fucking kidding? And he's just like, no, I just have a favor to ask. And she's just like, well, maybe I'll just make you my fake boyfriend after you get that favor. It's just like problems. And then after school, he's waiting for Yuzuki to be done with practice. And another girl comes in and starts like jokingly talking shit about Yuzuki and going, hey, are you two really going out? And he's just like, are you really going to talk shit about her to her boyfriend? And she goes, wouldn't it be worse to talk shit behind your back? I would say all this shit to her face. And then she bails before Yuzuki actually shows up, but does manage to snag Chitose's line ID in the process.
Oh, dear.
Problems. So Haru and Yuzuki come out from basketball practice, and Haru is immediately like, oh, you should have seen Yuzuki. She was really nervous about like, hey, I need to borrow your body wipes or I'm going to smell weird for Chitose. And she gets really blushy.
Aww.
But then a finer point is put on this when they are walking home and he starts to like tease her about it. And she's just like, I definitely had those body wipes and deodorant when I left home this morning. Indicating someone stole them.
Yeah.
Which means someone got into the locker room and...
into her bag specifically as well.
Into her bag specifically and didn't steal. He's just like, not even clothes or a used towel, like nothing more personal than that. This is someone trying to like get in her way.
Yeah. Because
she was worried about her time with me, which indicates maybe a girl causing problems out of jealousy. But they put that aside for now. And he basically goes, yeah, we can have a date if you win your practice game. So that's going to be something to look forward to.
Jolly good.
And then they cut to studying because it's exam season soon. And Yua, the quiet girl from the first couple of episodes, is wearing glasses. And Chitose has a line that he's just like, I'm so over the girl takes off glasses to make you realize she's hot trope. I'm way more into hottie surprises you by wearing glasses instead.
Fuck this guy. Destroy him from orbit with laser rocks. I hate him so much, and I hate him all the more because I know that by the end of this I'm going to be rooting for him, because that's always how it works when I hate an anime boy.
Especially one in the main character's seat.
Yes.
Anyway, it's study time. apparently, like, her wearing glasses instead of the contacts reminds Chitose of the previous year, which is probably going to come up at some point, but right now it's not as relevant. And then while they're studying, Chitose notices that some guys from the high school that Yuzuki was worried about are outside the library. So he basically lets her know and then goes to, like, confront them-ish. He goes to get a drink, basically, and they come up and approach him and are like, hey, we saw you sitting with Yuzuki. Are you her boyfriend? And are you Chitose Saku? And he's just like, yep, that's me on both counts. And they're just like, we have heard you're a huge man slut. And also, we've heard your girlfriend is extremely easy and our senpai is interested. So they try and start shit with him. And he pushes back a little, and they were apparently not expecting to meet any resistance, so they get chased off by a couple other of the guys from the Saku group coming out to, stop things, because everyone's watching. But yeah, it ends with, like, Chitose and Yuzuki are sitting at the river, and it's, like, sunset, and they're just kind of chilling. But she's, like, really genuinely rattled by the fact that he nearly got decked. And he's just like, all right, and, like, puts his jacket on her and goes, all right, calm down. You're all good. Everything's fine. And she eventually perks up and goes, you were awesome. Thank you. Let's go get Katsudon.
Sounds good.
Yep. And that's where the episode ended.
It's good when things end with food.
Yeah.
Speaking of ending with food.
This section's going to end with something food. Yeah.
This Monster Wants to Eat Me, episode 6. I am starting to have a bit of a, like, underlying metaphor problem with this show. Because it really only works narratively if you think of Hinako getting eaten as a metaphor for both death and sex, and thus as a matter of sex being a kind of finality, right? Which is uncomfortably close to, like, virginity ideas. A maiden is dead the first time that she has sex or whatever. I do think there's another framing which might be the goal here, which is that it's the death of heterosexuality rather than the death of virginity. But it feels weird. The core metaphor is loaded to a degree I wasn't quite expecting. But in this episode, Miko and Shiori have sort of agreed that they both want to protect Hinako for now. So they're kind of on the same side for now. And so Hinako is very glad that they have started getting on better. They have not started getting on better. But the reason that Hinako is very glad is that she's still planning to die, and she doesn't want Miko to be alone after she's died, because Miko's her best friend. And so she's glad that Shiori will be around to keep Miko company. And she has a line to the effect of, I know that monsters aren't like humans and you don't get lonely, but, it bothers me to think of Miko being alone. And then she goes off to do something else, and Shiori's just sitting there and kind of murmurs, you think monsters don't feel lonely? To herself. There is more to this character than just the comedy. And I think the show needs to explore that more to make it work. But there is a very funny bit. So Shiori wants to take Hinako to the beach. And she really wants Hinako to see her body. She's like, you wait till you see me naked. But this leads to Miko telling Hinako, look, I know that Western mermaids are supposed to be sexy and all. Japanese mermaids are not sexy. You don't want to see that. It's a very, very funny way to express the jealousy and the kind of friction between the characters. Anyway, let's try to do some quicker mentions. Watari-kun's Blanket is About to Collapse, episode 19. So much happens in this episode, but it is mostly just like Tokui scheming to drive directly into the heart of the storm on the grounds that that's probably the quickest way out. Watari is persuaded to go on the school trip, even though he kind of didn't want to, because things are awkward with Yukari now. And somehow they've ended up not just going to the same place as Satsuki's school trip, but staying at the same hotel. And then Tokui gets their group to have exactly the same itinerary as Satsuki's group from her school.
Yup.
Generally makes a pest of himself until Watari and Satsuki are kind of back on a collision course. Which is good, because Watari does have the photo that Satsuki wants, and Watari does need the closure of, like, speaking to Satsuki again and apologizing to her for taking advantage of her. But in better news, Sho Yukari's younger brother did get Valentine's chocolates from Suzu, Watari's sister.
Yep, and both of their older siblings are so normal about this.
Yes. And also a nice touch is that at one point, Tamayo, Watari's aunt that he lives with, when he says he doesn't want to go on the school trip, she gets worried that he's being bullied, and he comes home a couple of days later, and she is like fully smartened up. She's in a suit, and she's carrying a bunch of books. Normally she slobs around in like pajamas, basically, or a tracksuit.
Yeah, tracksuit.
But she's really smarted up because she's going to go to school and have it out with his teachers about him being bullied.
Yep.
Fortunately, he's able to explain enough that she doesn't do that. But it's nice that she's starting to care about it.
Mm-hmm.
In The Dark History of the Reincarnated Villainess, episode 5, Iana kind of gets a handle on Yomi, but she does have to figure out that she needs to dom him.
Yeah, she gets a leash on him more than anything.
Once she realizes she has to dom him, it takes all of 10 minutes for her to turn him into her dog. But she's only able to make that work by pretending to him that she is still evil and that her sweet act is like trying to lull Konoha and Ginoford into a false sense of security. And the thing is that Ginoford and Sol both fall for this act that is not an act, but she's like having to act the truth because the world is so set up to frame everything she does as bad. But she becomes a victim of her own like self-indulgent creativity because in her novel she established for kicks that the forehead touching to test for temperature is like the standard way that it's done. So when she later takes ill from stress, as far as I can tell, both Ginoford and Sol want to do the forehead temperature test, which means they have to get really close to her, which she feels very normal about.
Yep.
And Ginoford even wants to read her a bedtime story. He is a comically wooden reader. It's great.
Yep.
In Wandance, episode 5, we pick up where the previous episode left off, with Kabo meeting Iori, who is the only other male member of the dance club. Iori immediately challenges Kabo to a dance-off. He has to explain what a dance-off is. This is not a fair competition, but he does it in a classroom with those corridor windows that Japanese classrooms have that still kind of seem weird to me. But what that means is that a bunch of other pupils show up to watch. And Kabo, although he's doing well at first, he really struggles once there's an audience. Not because he consciously gets anxious, but because he starts kind of trying to show off for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Fashion checks from this episode. There's a shot of Wanda from behind, and she's got a t-shirt that just says, "Oh yes, 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 yes," a bunch of times on the back. And then the camera goes around to the front, and on the front it says, "Can you whisper?"
What?
It's a wild t-shirt. Later she and Kabo are in the rehearsal studio together, practicing, and she's wearing a tank top that has a heart on it with just vibes written across it. And his t-shirt says, "Dance Party," all one word.
Good.
But there's plot movement here as well. So Kabo goes to On, the club president, and says, "I feel like I can only dance freely when I'm thinking about Wanda. Is that a problem? Am I too dependent on her?" And On is like, "No, you know, go with what works until you feel more comfortable in yourself," which is good advice. In that scene with the dance party shirt, they've been practicing, and Kabo got a bit out of step, and Wanda tells him, "Hey, you've got to keep your eyes on me." And like it actually shows him taking the Cupid's arrow.
Good.
Anyway, then they're leaving school and it's raining, and she doesn't have an umbrella, so they share. So they're walking home together. Kabo works up any active conversation is a trial for Kabo, and he works up the courage to ask Wanda about her dancing inspiration. She cites Michael Jackson and takes him to a store that she worked at over the summer because the shopkeep there had Michael Jackson videos that he played for her, which is why she got so into dance. And she's like, "Can I borrow this to lend to my friend?" And the shopkeeper's like, "Oh, your boyfriend?" And they come out of the shop and the rain has stopped. And like Kabo does that thing where you put up your hand flat, palm up to check for rain. And the rain has stopped. And he just sort of freezes there for a minute. And Wanda reaches up and gently slips her hand into his.
Oh.
And then they walk the rest of the way holding hands.
That's sweet.
Genuinely one of the cutest hand-holding moments I think I've ever seen. Partly, I think, because this is a show about awkward, self-conscious characters. and it takes that awkwardness and that self-consciousness seriously as like mental health things, rather than it, Kubo-san is very, very sweet, or The Dangers in My Heart. Those are very sweet shows, but they don't have the kind of groundedness that this has about self-consciousness that I think adds something to this instance. Anyway, a show where the couple probably aren't as awkward as they should be, Pass the Monster, Meet Milady, episode 6, which is all about how to batter and fry fish. So I felt like, for once, there was a British buff rather than a debuff at work.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of time dedicated to how do you butcher a fish the size of a car, which is fair enough. Melfi and Rogier are getting more comfortable flirting with each other and are starting to get on other people's nerves with it, which is great.
Yeah.
But also there is one soldier in Rogier's escort, Mullen, who, I mean, I put is fast becoming their puppy boy in the notes, and I really can't think of a better way to express it than that.
Yeah, which is why I said that initially in the first place. Like, give him a tail and it would be wagging all the time. Like, it's fine.
He would have one floppy ear and one ear that stands straight up.
Absolutely.
Anyway, tell me about A Wild Last Boss Appeared, episode 7.
So, A Wild Last Boss Appeared, episode 7, starts with them on the way to basically investigate the region that got taken over by one of the Zodiacs, the Maiden, and going, so where did all the Heaven-Winged people go? And they went, they moved to a new city. They're dealing with some civil unrest over there, but, like, they're mostly doing fine. And then she goes, let's go over there. So we stop by Gallerhorn, the Heaven-Winged city, and are immediately shown this city built on a mountain that is just like, half of it is white and half of it is black. And there's a divide between the white-winged Heaven-Winged and the mixed-winged Heaven-Winged, because the white ones are snobby purists, and the rest of them are like, hey, we want equal rights too, you piece of shit. And yeah, the entire setup is like, because Lufus came around 200 years ago and conquered their territory and basically said, hey, no fucking discrimination based on this shit. A fact that the main character does not remember because he didn't RP that. A lot of the mixed wings are very fond of Lufus. There's a temple to her.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Because she was like the Black Conqueror, as it were. But the first thing in my notes for this is Maid is a menace, because Libra, the robot maid that they recovered last episode, is back on her bullshit. Her first line upon seeing Lufus is like, let's go to the black side of the city, and Libra goes, the black side. Okay, you like black. I'll buy that for your next set of underwear. And Lufus is just like, what? And they get into an argument. And Ares is just sitting there. The femboy Ram is just sitting there going, what? What is happening? Why are you talking about it? And they go to climb the mountain, and the maid is just like, trying to walk up this is going to tire you all out. I will carry you all up. And then it's the middle of the night, and she has the loudest rocket engines for flight. So she just wakes up half the fucking city while she's flying them up there. It's pretty good. But the first night they stay there, Lufus has basically a dream of the character Lufus, or the real person Lufus, and her history with the city and the discrimination she faced that basically made her decide, I need to be strong enough on my own to vanquish all the wrongs in this world. And upon waking up, the main character goes, that kind of clinches that this isn't so much like the world of the game, so much as it is a real world. But that begs the question, where did Lufus's soul go?
Yeah.
Because I'm here now.
Concerning.
That's a thing to figure out in the future, I guess. They go and investigate. She gets kind of sketched out because the Heaven-Winged have the lifespan of like 1,500 years, so people might recognize her if they saw her.
Lufus, you mean?
Yeah, Lufus. And she's just like, I feel like this disguise is a little suspicious. I should dress up as someone else. Maybe I could get into menswear.
And you have put hair in brackets at the end of this line in our notes, because you know that if she does, I am going to be targeted.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitch.
I love you. But yeah, she's just like, I'm going to alchemize some menswear later. And then she goes in and investigates the temple with the zealots that are... There is one zealot so far who is very open to like ranting about what Lufus did for the Heaven Winged. And then the maid decides to spend her time searching, just kind of flying over the city and scanning everyone. And in the process, she finds a Devilkin and gets into a fight with him. And then it cuts away from that fight to Ares investigating another one of the 12 heavenly stars, one of the zodiacs, who apparently defected to the devil folk and tried to get Ares to go with them. And the episode ends on them meeting. So a lot of things are going to happen and probably explode next episode.
Excellent.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they're doing with gender in this series is, I hope they commit to it.
Yeah. Okay, in My Awkward Senpai episode 6, there's a new character who is another rookie at the company from the same like recruitment class as Kamigawa. She's got tickets to some fireworks display and she wants all the rookies to go together. Kanawa encounters her first in the process of inviting Kamigawa, and some of the other seniors at the company are taking an interest, and Kanawa goes up and says, well, can I come? And that drives off all the other seniors like immediately, which is deeply, deeply sad.
Mm-hmm.
But fortunately, Mio is really happy about Kanawa taking an interest and wanting to talk to her. And there's a whole like getting ready to go to the festival thing, and Kanawa has to pick a yukata. All sorts of things happen, but Mio is really happy about getting to talk to Kanawa and really happy about getting to see her in a yukata. And look, I am but a simple lesbian. I'm going to see lesbianism where there's lesbianism to be seen. There's lesbianism to be seen here.
Yep.
And then they get to the festival, and Kanawa, Mio, and Kamigawa are going around the festival together. And Kanawa... So first off, Kanawa, like, buys all the festival food for the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of sets the tone of her having this little bit of distance from the other two. And it builds through the course of, like, 5 minutes of them going around the festival and doing stuff. And eventually, she just sort of drifts away from them without telling them, because she's feeling shut out. She's feeling like she doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanders off and she gets lost and she breaks her getter. And the other two have no idea where she is. Oh, and does her phone run out of battery?
Yeah, she forgot to charge it.
So she has a full disaster, and the other two can't find her. They get desperate. Eventually, they come and find her. Kamigawa fixes her getter with like an improvised fix. And then it's time for the fireworks, so they have to go and take their seats, because the whole point of this was they got tickets for the seats for the fireworks. And so they're moving through this crowd, and the crowd is really like busy and tightly pressing, and they start to get separated, so they reach out and hold hands. And then they don't stop holding hands when they get through the crowd. And I have a suggestion.
The two modes of my wife.
I'm choosing to interpret this, and I have a suggestion.
Yup, this is how we got together. It's fine.
Chooses to interpret you.
No, fuck that. I have a suggestion. No.
Shot down on my own podcast.
Sorry.
Anyway, speaking of shows in need of a suggestion...
No, I think it has plenty of suggestions already.
In Just Beyond the End of the World, episode 5. So the core conceit here is Yugure has asked Akira to go on a date with her because she wants to spend some time alone with Akira. To do that, she has to ask Amoru to give them some time alone, and Amoru is not happy about this. And Amoru, along with the cop lady and the foppish scholar guy, they go on a hike to a viewing platform overlooking this third impact crater site, while Yugure and Akira, as their date, go to the third impact site. And so Amoru is up on this viewing platform, and she can see the two of them down there. And the date is actually kind of awful and awkward and doesn't look good at all. But at the end of it, Yugure does tell Akira that she loves him, which I think is the first time that she's actually said that, rather than just saying she wants to be married. So Amoru is very jealous of this. Yugure and Akira get back to the inn, and the innkeeper asks them, how far did you get? And Akira goes, we almost got to the crater. And the innkeeper literally says, not what I meant.
Yeah, right after I said that.
Yeah. And then the innkeeper and the cop kind of sort out some of their romantic difficulties, because it turns out that the reason the cop hasn't given up her job is because she's using her position to stall the redevelopment of the area that will probably force the inn to close. And it's like, this situation sucks, but I'm not just in love with my job. I'm trying to help you. And, you know, this show has as part of its pitch new forms of romance. And, like, at the end of this episode, Amoru tells Yugure I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm going to compete for Akira's affections just as strongly as you do.
And also yours.
Yeah.
Because she also wants to marry Yugure.
Yes.
Sorry, LC Yugure.
Which is fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's about exploring new forms of love in a culture that's very different from ours. I don't think we've seen a male gay couple yet. The very first family that took Akira in, there were 2 husbands of the same woman, but I didn't get the vibe that they were particularly intimate with one another. And we haven't seen anything of that since, despite there being several characters who were kind of queer-coded to some degree or other. And I'm starting to get a little bit suspicious because you don't get to say, we're doing other ideas of romance, and it's all hot girls either in love with each other or in love with one particular boy. Some chips need to be put down on the gay table.
Yep, the gable.
That's a different beef. Anyway, on Little Miss Vampire Can't Suck Right, episode 5, Luna is still struggling with the thought of drinking blood from people's necks. And twice separately, the idea of drinking from someone's breast comes up. And basically, because Luna turns into a baby when she drinks blood, this gets imagined as breastfeeding, which, sure, I guess. There's a new character introduced, Misa, who, when Alma bites her, she feels pain to a degree that Otori and Sakuma, is it?
Sakuma, yes.
I remembered right for once.
Yeah, good job.
So, Otori and Sakuma don't feel pain when... I just realised I put Luna's name as Alma in the notes.
You sure did.
Anyway.
We watch those right next to each other. It's fine.
Yes. When Luna bites Otori and Sakuma, they don't feel pain, but Misa does feel pain when she gets bitten. And she kind of blames Alma for that and is trying to tough love her into taking her learning more seriously and taking her practicing more seriously, which Luna is not happy about getting the tough treatment. And also it makes Otori and Sakuma quite worried that they're spoiling her for a bit. But then Otori and Luna are about to walk home and it's raining, and Luna takes out her travel umbrella and it immediately breaks. She doesn't even get it open. She presses the button to open it, and as the stem extends, it just chucks the umbrella off the head of the stick. So they have to share an umbrella. And Otori's umbrella isn't that big, and they're struggling with it. And Luna has the brilliant idea to turn small and go into his bag and hold the umbrella that way, so that they both fit under it better. So it seems like maybe she's learning to control her baby abilities? I don't know. It's adorable. He ends up wearing the backpack on his front, and she's in it like it's a baby carrier. And because of that, he can wrap his arms around her so that she can feed on him as they go.
Yep.
And it represents how he feels about this by having a single ray of sunshine shine down on them as they're moving through the rain, which would be really unfortunate if Luna had any other vampire traits besides the bloodsucking.
And the aversion to running water.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a thing.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, then the next day, Luna is turning up to school and she's super happy and excited to go to school. And everybody else is just treating her normally. And it turns out that it's her birthday, and she thinks that she's forgotten to tell anyone, and she's worried about that. And back she goes to the class, feeling worried and sad that she forgot. And everyone in the class knows, because actually all their birthdays are on a poster, and they've thrown a surprise party for her. And everybody spoils her so much. Jesus Christ, everybody loves this girl.
Yeah.
And it left me a little bit interested in, what is the core fantasy of this show? What is the hook? Because it feels like the selling point here is just watching this girl get spoiled and pampered and everybody thinking that she's cool. Somebody is working through a very, very strange fixation about vampires.
Luna. Luna is working.
Well, Luna is, on the
fixation.
writing team.
Yeah, I know. The writing team. The mangaka, the one person.
Other people probably worked on scripts for the anime, but yes, probably the mangaka. Anyway, it's interesting. This is not like other shows. It doesn't easily fit alongside other shows that I can think of.
I mean, it's slowly skewing towards romance, but it is a slow burn Yashike. It's not supposed to be very high tension.
In Touring After the Apocalypse, episode 6, we get more stuff about, Yoko having these weird dream memories. So, they're in this location, and it's ruined by time, but she has a dream of being there when it was operational. And in the dream, she sees a girl drop a coin and it rolls under a vending machine. And then they wake up and they're exploring the place and they find the exact vending machines and they look under and sure enough, there's a coin there. And then they get attacked by a massive swarm of rats. And the second half of the episode is just them running away from the rats. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how many rats there are. It doesn't matter how small Yoko and Airi are by human standards. No horde of rats is going to attack and pursue two human-shaped girls, one of whom is holding a flaming torch. I don't care what effects the apocalypse has had on animal psyche or any. It's just rats don't work like that. And not only do they pursue, once Yoko and Airi get back to their motorbike and get in gear on the motorbike, the rats are fast enough to keep up.
Yeah, that's so fucking
Rat sprinting
nuts.
speeds are like 10 miles an hour.
This feels like something you would know specifically because you play rat characters so much.
I literally looked that up this afternoon because I'm in a werewolf campaign where I'm playing a were-rat, and I had to check like how far from the camp do I want to change into rat form before I start sneaking in. Anyway, in Hands Off Sawaranaide Kotesashi-kun, episode 6...
You skipped one. You skipped Gnosia.
I'm going to finish Hands Off Sawaranaide Kotesashi-kun to get it out of the way.
No, you could transition from rats to cats. Come on.
I don't want to transition from rats to cats because then the rats will get eaten. Keep the cats away from the rats.
In space?
To be fair, the cat in Gnosia episode 5 is affixed to a human.
Yeah, who is not chasing rats currently.
Currently. Yeah, so we're introduced to these two new characters, one of whom, Comet, is covered in what look like tattoos but turn out to be like a fungal symbiote.
Like a slime mold.
Yeah. And the other is Chippy, who has this cat, and the cat is grafted through his neck so that his spine can intersect with it because he wants to be turned into a cat. And this is an intermediate stage of that?
Yeah.
Wild bit of world building. Truly absurd.
Yeah, in this episode we got, yeah, I come from a planet where the people who survived their childhood did so by, like, getting into a symbiotic relationship with slime mold. Do you want to see the slime mold on my tits? And I want to be a cat!
Yeah. But actually, most of this episode is pretty chunky, kind of playing out the logic of the game. And it's actually very effective at it, and, like, showing how the characters think and how they solve the puzzles. And, like, I used to teach logic, but I would be terrible. I am terrible at social deduction games because I cannot hold the thoughts together in my head in an organised way, in the way that this show is very, very good at. But as they're getting better at the logic, they win another game, and this time they win a game that has two Gnosia in, by establishing who the second Gnosia is before putting them in cold sleep. So Yuri and Setsu get to talk to someone that they know is a Gnosia for the first time, and that's a very loaded, melancholy scene. When this show turns to the kind of somber component of its premise, it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can talk about Hands Off Sawaranaide Kotesashi-kun, episode 6.
Yep.
We're moving on to the gamer girl, who is convinced that she is not going to fall for Kotesashi the way that the previous girls have, because she has lots of experience with men, apparently. But her problem is that she's gaming too much, so she's not sleeping enough, and that's affecting her actual sporting activities. And Kotesashi realizes that this is just like her competitive nature. She can't let up on the games until she wins, but that is resulting in her staying up late loss chasing, which is making her worse at the games, so there's a vicious circle, for which the cure is apparently armpit massages.
Yep.
So next week, doubtless, we're going to get to watch an extended armpit massage sequence that will cause several kinds of hell to break loose.
Probably, yeah.
In 2200 Cat Country, episode 6, Sora the cat gets very excited about a ribbon, and Mugishima goes, okay, so I won't buy you any more toys. Which, frankly, I understand why you don't take that approach with actual cats, but I think if cats could talk, that would be the right way to play it.
Yep.
Give them some of their own medicine. In older stuff, Kimi ni Todoke, Season 2, Episode 3 is establishing a new boy, Miura, who has caught the dreaded glimpse of Sawako's actual genuine smile and been smitten, and is definitely going to cause problems. And Kazuhaya sees this and immediately gets jealous, and Sawako still can't express her feelings to him at all. And it's sad. I'm sad. I just want them to be together and be happy, and they're not.
Yet. It's a big yet.
It keeps being not yet.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We will.
Anyway, In Ascendance of Bookworm, we watched the last 4 episodes of the 3rd season, which are full of horrors, honestly. Like, just a whole bunch of this conspiracy to, like, kidnap mine comes to a head, and there are various, like, high-ranking people who are, like, kidnapping and enslaving children and using them as human shields. And then Sylvester, the flamboyant Blue Robe priest that we met a few episodes ago, shows up and is revealed to be, like, the actual lord of this territory. So when we say he does king shit, he's actually doing real king shit. And he kind of resolves everything. But as part of the resolution, he insists that Mine become his adopted daughter now. And it's not that she can't ever see her family again, but they have to treat her as the daughter of the Lord and pretend that she was never mine. And it is a gut-wrenchingly sad way to end the season.
Yeah.
And the episode transitions to credits via a screen that says, "The story to be told is over," which is a brutal thing to do.
And then it does the ending.
After the credits, it goes back to that, and the words "after that ... appear underneath. So we are actually going to get a 4th season where we will move on a bit, but it's rough.
Yeah, it's rough. So, like, I've been aware that this takes a long time to get through because there are 33 volumes of the main story and a few more of the side stories. But this is like the first 7 volumes done. And yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes.
Okay, Tara and I watched the first Mobile Suit Gundam movie. And as part of prepping me for that, she showed me an episode of Tetsujin 28, and we rewatched the first episode of Eureka 7. And what all of these have in common is very, very explicit politics. Way more than I'd remembered in the case of the bits of Gundam original series and Eureka 7 that I watched. And, like, obviously, Mobile Suit Gundam is a huge landmark for how mecha anime developed, sci-fi anime developed, anime in general. It's also, like, it deserves it. It's actually, like, a really good movie. It really works. It's better as a movie than the TV show, from what I remember of watch. I watched like the first 10 episodes of the original series, which do drag a bit. Here, it hangs together more. There's a nice trick it pulls where both sides of the war are able to see themselves as underdogs, and you can see how they are failing to perceive each other's weaknesses. It's also in some ways very grounded. So typically in mecha anime, the hero will find like a MacGuffin that lets them power up the mech, or they'll have an intrinsic born-in MacGuffin or something like that.
It depends on the mecha genre.
It does depend on the mecha genre. Or like it'll be like psychic compatibility or something like that. Amuro literally finds the manual for the Gundam, and the first time he gets in the Gundam, he has the manual on his lap, paging through it frantically, looking for like, where are the weapon controls? And the thing that's really good is that it's not just being in danger that traumatizes Amuro. You know, with Shinji, a lot of what kind of directly upsets him is the fact that he's being put in harm's way and he's going through this terrible pain every time he fights and so on. Amuro is at least as troubled by the fighting and the killing. In some ways, the climactic moment of this movie is the first time that he shoots someone with a handgun outside his mech, and nobody is sympathetic to him. At every point where the trauma gets the better of him, nobody is sympathetic to him. At one point, he's catatonic, and they need him to fight, and the way they choose to get him to fight is they basically manhandle him into the Gundam's cockpit and launch the Gundam so that his piloting reflexes will bring him back round. And at one point, Amuro is refusing to fight, and Bright, his commanding officer, beats him up. Like, not just hits him, but hits him several times. And Amuro says, even my father never hit me. And later in the movie, there is a match shot where this princess called Isolina, who Tara said they immediately had to introduce a girl so it wasn't too gay. She's the love interest for Gama Zabi, the son of the Emperor, and her father doesn't approve of the match. And she's trying to run off to be with him, and he hits her, and the shot is set up to be very reminiscent of the shot where Bright hits Amuro. So on the one hand, there are the military people who need him to fight and won't support him when he's not fighting. And to get some comfort, he goes to try to find his mother, and he ends up having to shoot a guy in front of her who is like hunting him down as a soldier of the enemy. And his mother basically turns him away after that. And when he gets back after completing the mission, and like blowing up an enemy base and killing a bunch of people, Bright's like, good work, you did the thing that we need you to. And then the movie ends on the White Base, which is the Earth Federation ship that Amuro is based on, escaping and flying away into the distance, while there's a big state celebration happening for the Zeon faction, the other faction, and the crowd is literally chanting "Sieg Zeon" over and over again, because it is not slightly subtle about the Nazi imagery.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie. I see how it could be so important. I realise that it's not super your area of interest at all, but I wanted to talk a bit about it so that probably next week and the week after when we watch the other movies, we don't have to go into them in so much detail.
Mm-hmm.
Scrap Princess Episode 10 continues the JRPG-ass Christianity bad plot. There's this village full of heretics, and a guy has come to the village running a scheme with a fake scrapped princess, pretending to be the leader of the heretics, but it turned out all to be a scheme to wipe out the village because he's secretly an inquisitor of the church, and he thinks that wiping out an entire village of heretics will raise his status within the church. Meanwhile, the other inquisitor, the one they've ended up travelling with, is talking shit about the heretics and their apparent plan to destroy the capital city of the religion for believing the wrong thing. And he kind of frames it as, I don't want the heretics to make the mistakes that my religion does. But that's his excuse for continuing to make the same mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Because Western-style religions in Japanese media, right?
Yep.
And then there is the Wild Man, the Wild Man's Grandchild. The Wise Man's Grind. This episode needs to end. It's been 100 minutes.
Yep.
The Wise Man's Grandchild, episode 11. They're on the way to battle, and all the couples are flirting. And Marie gets sick of this because she turns out to be the only one who is actually single.
That's not true, but like all the boys are engaged.
That's right, yes.
The rest of the girls are like, this fucking sucks. And they end up starting shit with a bunch of the demonoids that they're fighting too later because they keep going, what are these little girls doing here? And then getting nuked.
So that's the thing I actually want to mention is, like, they go into this hellish war zone where these demonoids are just doing extreme cruelty to civilians.
Mm-hmm.
And they use some horrific spells on the demonoids. At one point, one of the girls does a spell that is like a jet of water laced with sand.
Yeah, like a high-pressure water jet.
But with sand in it to make it worse.
Yeah.
And that's one of the grisliest ways I've ever heard of killing someone. And so there's this mix of, like, very comedic pacing of the scenes, as you said, with, like, stop calling us little girls, that kind of thing. But the war itself is horrifying.
Yeah.
And there's a shot in the middle of Shin just, like, laying waste to this army of demonoids. He's fucking scary, and the show wants you to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And a cool thing that it does is they confront the leader of the demonoids, and he reveals he's got this, like, magic item that gives him a really powerful shield that is like the shields that Shin uses.
Specifically because it's a magic item Shin made to give Earlshide soldiers, like, magical shields.
Oh, right. So it is actually something he made.
Yes.
I missed that connection. Cool. So yeah, he's got this captured thing that Shin made. And, you know, in most anime, I think in most stories, that would be, okay, we need to do something different here. Maybe this is where the episode ends and next episode is going to be about finding a strategy to solve this problem. But because of the logic of how this show works and how much it is about power creep, actually what they do is they just blast him repeatedly with magic until the shield is overwhelmed.
Yeah. The justification they have is just like, they make him flinch, basically, because you need to stay focused on channeling the mana, and he balks at them constantly just throwing magic at him.
I thought they actually broke the shield. I thought they exhausted it.
No, like...
Because it was established earlier that shields of this kind can be exhausted.
They can break, but, like, they're also just rattling him. Like, they're doing the thing that Scarlet did to that one guy whose brain needed to get rattled before he gave up. They just, like, completely overwhelmed him and gave him the equivalent of a concussion. And then he was just like, I'm dead. Oops.
Yeah. Okay, so we're watching That Right is a project of Slimebug Productions. Intro and outro music is by me, graphics are by Val. You can find us on Blue Sky at slimebug.bsky.social, YouTube at youtube.com/slimebugproductions, Patreon at patreon.com/slimebugproductions. Download all episodes from Libsyn at slimebug.pro and join our Discord via the link in the description. Thanks for listening, and until next time, may anime neither betray nor disappoint you.